You know who's bullish about Bitcoin? Nation states. Nation states are bullish about Bitcoin. Now, there's many people out there that will watch this and they're like, oh, whatever, Bitcoin is crazy, magic internet money, and stuff like that. Well, I don't know. Nation states seem to think that it's somewhat important to have a little bit, just in case it catches on, as Satoshi Nakamoto said. Bhutan has been mining Bitcoin with hydropower since Bitcoin's price was $5,000 per Bitcoin. Now, this is the most fascinating thing about Bitcoin. The most fascinating thing, hands down. I've learned more about it in the last, 4 or 5 years after really becoming a true Bitcoiner than I ever thought I would in my entire life. And all those teachers I made fun of, and why am I learning about this in school and things like that? Well, I'm using a little bit more of my school knowledge, I guess, now after learning about energy, just understanding what's going on in the energy space and using some of that knowledge to adapt it to this Bitcoin mining space and the Bitcoin energy space and what it's doing to use stranded energy, to use gas, flared energy, and to stabilize grids. Bitcoin is, if you're a leftist and you love the climate and you think that's the biggest concern on Earth, then you should be the biggest Bitcoin proponent on Earth. On Earth. And if you're a far right person, and I'm talking in the American sense, far left and far right political spheres, far right, you should love Bitcoin because, boy, it's going to make you a lot of cash. It's going to free all kinds of people from government tyranny, and it's going to free you up with getting rid of dollars and having all kinds of wealth, because it's going to make your town wealthy and cheap and abundant energy. It's going to usher in, you got nuclear mining of Bitcoin going on, things like that. We are in such an age that we don't even understand what's happening right now. We have no clue. I mean, they're hydropower. Bitcoin miners go to the cheapest source of electricity. And a lot of times it's stranded areas, areas that have no development, and Bitcoin offers the ability to go develop underdeveloped areas. And then again, if you're on the left, you should love Bitcoin too. You should be the biggest proponent because it helps the unbanked and underbanked be able to transact monetarily, because they can't in the legacy system. They can't get a bank account. JP Morgan Chase is so worried about buying up assets in Washington Mutual or whatever, and Bear Stearns or Lehman Brothers or whatever, and then buying up First Republic Bank like they just did 15 years ago, and then like what they did just now. The Fed just is the arm. JP Morgan is the arm of the federal government, and they go and use all of our time and energy, our taxes, our tax money and inflation, our cash to go buy up other distressed assets, and they get to boost their balance sheet on our backs. That's if you're sick of that, you should probably love Bitcoin. If people on the right or left are sick of that, if you were in the Occupy Wall Street protest, if you were a Tea Party member, you should love Bitcoin. You should be the biggest proponent of Bitcoin ever on the face of Earth. So when people start truly understanding this, as they're starting to more and more with RFK and Vivek Ramaswamy talking about it, DeSantis and Trump talking about anti-CBDC and stuff like that, it's all over the political landscape now. I do believe it'll become the number one issue in the next year or two in politics. The number one issue, with banks failing and monetary systems failing and the dollar failing and Bitcoin being pushed into a prominent role more and more every single day. This was just came out a few days ago. It's going to change civilization. That's why we always say the price, the monetary or like the fiat price conversion to Bitcoin is the least interesting aspect of Bitcoin. What it's going to do for humanity is far and away more mind-blowing and more impactful than any purchasing power, quite honestly, that Bitcoin has. Because again, I do believe Bitcoin, things will be so cheap and abundant in energy in the coming decades that you're not even going to be worrying about money, because when energy costs come down, that means everything comes down. What you're buying comes down in price, the food, everything comes down in price. So you're not going to be worrying about that. No one's going to be worrying about these issues. And money just won't be as big of an object, meaning you're not going to be worried about trying to keep up the Joneses and having a Ferrari and 6 homes and a mansion. Like the people, that American dream of that happening just kind of starts to melt away, quite honestly. And you'll be worried about raising your children. You'll be worried about self-fulfillment and self-actualization, Maslow's highest rung on the hierarchy of needs. You'll be worried about how to make the world a better place. You'll be worried about how to make the best stool, how to make the best house that you can, and the best citadel, the best fortress, and take care of your neighbors and your loved ones, and live with them, not put your parents in a senior center and just lock them away in a senior center. You'll be worried about, hey, how many in-law quarters and suites can I build here because I have all the best people in the world. They're not on Wall Street, all the smartest people, using financial derivatives and creating all kinds of stupid products that enslave people. They're all here. The smartest people in mines are actually construction companies now, and construction workers and the farmers, and we're producing real food, not fake fiat food, and we're producing real homes that are actually built correctly and not cheap builder quality modern day standards. We actually have this renaissance. that will come in because of this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Really quick on Bhutan. Again, we go on rants here because this is why this is so important. This is why once you go down the rabbit hole, you see how important Bitcoin is because it's sound money. How important sound money and truth and merit and accountability and responsibility are to society flourishing. Bhutan is bullish on Bitcoin. Yeah, you're not kidding. Following the revolution. By the way, Bhutan is, and we'll show you here. We're going to show you guys where Bhutan is. Bhutan is in the Himalayas, basically. It is close, right on the border of China. So again, if you thought like, oh, China's banning it, well, yeah, I would imagine they're probably arbitraging this play in Bhutan somehow. Because again, this is how the game theory works out. This is Bhutan right here. So this is Bhutan, right next to, in between India and China right here, mainland China. So this is how game theory plays out. You have El Salvador, which show you here, El Salvador, talking, making it. So here's America, here's El Salvador, right in Central America. There's El Salvador. We have Bitcoin City being built down here. And many other countries here talking about the Bitcoin standard and what's going to happen, and it's probably coming to it soon. And then we have Central African Republic using Bitcoin. We have Nigeria. Where's Nigeria? Nigeria is right here. And they are huge, massive. There's 200 million people in this country. 200 million people. So they are one of the biggest, top 5, top 6 biggest populated countries in the world. The youth population has a massive Bitcoin contingent because they are trying to push CBDCs and people aren't having it. They're like, no, I don't want the slavery coin from the government. I want Bitcoin. I want the real thing. I want freedom and I want property rights. I want my wealth not to be stolen from me. I don't want to have to pay taxes in a currency another man can print up. So we're at the age of Renaissance. I mean, guys, we are right there. This is why This is why we're pushing. This is why Bitcoiners are pushing so hard everywhere and talk about it all the time because we are right there. If we go into it with the 2 roads, it's Bitcoin or slavery. And we are right there. CBDCs and slavery and you'll own nothing and be happy, or Bitcoin and freedom. So we have the choice right now in these coming years, in the next coming months and years, and who we vote into power and how we live as people are how we give freedom. Like we live, if you live as a free person, you are a free person. If you choose to let the state run your life, then you're not a free person. You are a free person by the way you live. And I choose to be a free person every second of every day. Following the revelation that small Himalayan kingdom has been quietly accumulating crypto, the country is also mining Bitcoin. However, the country of less than 800,000 people leverages green energy. Again, Bitcoin, I believe it's like 60% plus of Bitcoin mining is done by green energy. Again, people, we're not going to go there, but just the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the FUD is just so real that people have no idea how Bitcoin is going to change things. Known for its focus on gross national happiness in the picturesque landscape, Bhutan has found ways to harness its immense hydroelectric potential, which accounts for 30% of its gross domestic product. First reported in an expose in a local Bhutanese news, followed by inquiries from Forbes, Bhutanese officials confirmed the mining began when the price of Bitcoin was around $5,000 in April 2019. The price for Bitcoin has soared to roughly $28,000 per coin at the time of the writing. So again, remember guys, this is how game theory plays out. And this is probably happening a lot more than we even realize. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia's doing it. I wouldn't be surprised if China's doing it. They kicked people out, but yet there's still a bunch of mining going on there. This is happening. So do you want to own an asset that doesn't steal from you? And do you want to own an asset that all the other countries are going to be jumping on? The kingdom has recently reported exploring partnerships to expand its mining operations further. It's incredible. Just to think in 14 short years where we have come in the education is really, really remarkable. Bhutan adds to a long list of regions from East Africa to Scandinavia mining Bitcoin with hydropower, one of the cheapest and cleanest energy sources. So there you have it, guys. It's inevitable, but we still have to push because we want the least amount of social unrest possible. We want the least amount of people hurt possible. The wealth inequality gap, I believe, is one of the biggest things that causes that currently. And really this 2-tier justice system. Because you're always going to have wealth inequality, like Bob Burnett says. Right? Because you're always going to have people that want to work harder than others. So you're always going to have people that own more Bitcoin, more Satoshis than others. And that's fine. But the ability for people to be stolen from by their governments and by the people at the top is what needs to be rid of. We need to be rid of that. And that way they can't be dividing us, because they take that time and energy away from us and they steal it from us through inflation and taxes. And they get to pour it back down in divisive ads and polarizing ads and fund all this erratic cultural rot that destroys societies and keeps us divided. So that's why it's important. So please share this out. Please share the signal and the truth. The algorithm hates truth, hates it. This is not financial advice. It's freedom advice. That's it, pure and simple. So question everything with boldness, trust but verify, do your own research, please. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.